Hello guys, in this video we are going to train a model to detect fire and smoke. There are many pre-trained models which can give us higher accuracy such as FireNet, but here we are going to build an architecture from scratch. So the problem definition is that we have to detect either fire, smoke, or there is one more class known as default, which means we have detected neither fire nor smoke. So it is a multi-class classification problem. So let's start. Over here in the first step, we are mounting the drive with Jupyter Notebook. We are connecting both because the dataset is present onto the drive. Next, we are importing important Python libraries. First one being TensorFlow. So TensorFlow provides a collection of workflows to develop and train models using Python. Then we are importing NumPy. It is an open source Python library used to perform mathematical operations on various data structures. Then there is Keras. It is used to evaluate various deep learning models, one of them being image data generator. Now this is a class which allows us to configure random transformation and normalization operations which are supposed to be done on image data during training. Now we are creating an image data generator object which are supposed to have various parameters, first of them being rescale. So we have to rescale the image as image contains RGB values which ranges from 0 to 255. So by rescaling it, it will help us to get values in the range 0 to 1. So all the values we have to divide them by 255, so we will get values between 0 and 1 float values. And then there is a parameter known as shear range. So it is basically used to distort an image along an axis. Then there is zoom range, which helps us to zoom in or zoom out depending upon the value that is being passed. Then there is horizontal flip, which flips the image along an axis. So this particular part helps us in data augmentation. So now by using the flow from directory, I'm fetching all the training image data into the training set variable. Now as all the images in the dataset are of varied dimensions, so I'm scaling it down using the target size variable to the same dimension, which is 64 cross 64, and the batch size is 32, which means every single batch will contain 32 images. So as you can see, there are total 1048 training images. So and one batch size contains 32 images, so total there are 33 batches. 1048 divided by 32 gives us 32 gives us 33, and the class mode is categorical because it is a multi-class classification problem. And similarly we do the same thing for the testing set image data, and there are a few less images present into the testing data set. And over here we will make the predictions on a particular batch, and over here I'm considering batch 0. So basically training underscore set of 0 of 1 will give us the labels of the images of that particular batch, and training set of 0 of 0 will give me the feature vector. So the feature vector are nothing but the RGB values rescaled between 0 and 1 float values, which uniquely identifies the images. And these particular values has three particular permutations, which are 100, which signifies a default image. 010 defines an image which contains fire, and 001 defines an image which has smoke. And then we will print training set of 0, which is nothing but batch 0, wherein the first part contains the feature vector and the second part of it contains the labels of those images. And similarly for testing set. Now let's talk about the CNN architecture that we are going to use. So this is how the CNN architecture looks like. Now there are two ways to build Keras models. The first one is sequential and the second one is functional. Now in sequential models, it allows us to create models layer by layer. And in functional model, it allows us to create models by connecting layers to more than just the previous and the next layers. Now we create an object of the sequential model wherein we keep on adding layer by layer. The first one, we add a conv 2D layer. Now this is a layer which creates a convolutional kernel with an input and produces a tensor of output. Now there are various parameters that are supposed to be passed, and if not, it will consider as default. The first one being the filter parameter. Now the filter parameter detects spatial patterns such as edges in an image by detecting the changes in intensity values of the image. The kernel size, it basically specifies the width, height, basically the dimensions of the filter mask that's supposed to be used. And the activation function, it determines the output which is supposed to be passed to the next layer. Now in this case we have considered the ReLU activation function. Now for a negative input, it considers an output 0, and for a positive input it considers the value itself. The second layer is the same conv 2D layer, and in the first layer the input shape is 64 x 64, 64, 64, 3, where 64 and 64 are the size of the image and 3 is nothing but the RGB value. And the second one is the same conv 2D layer. The third one is the max pooling layer. Now this max pool 2D layer summarizes the presence of features in an input image. It has an advantage in which it reduces the dimensions of the feature maps, number of parameters to learn, and the amount of computations performed in the network. And then we repeat it one more time, which is a conv 2D layer, again a conv 2D layer, and then a max pool 2D layer. And then we use a flatten layer to reduce overfitting if present. Then we use dense fully connected layers with an activation function ReLU. So basically this fully connected layer connects all the neurons of that particular layer to the next layer. And the last one is the dense layer using activation function softmax. Now the softmax function gives us the probability of all the classes present. So there are 3 classes, which is default, fire and smoke, so we get probability of all the 3 classes whenever an image is passed into the model. Then we compile the model using the compile function, wherein it also takes parameters such as optimizer, and we have considered the Adam optimizer. Now the Adam optimizer uses stochastic gradient descent for training deep learning algorithms. And the loss function uses categorical cross entropy. Now it calculates the loss for multi-class classification problems, and matrix uses accuracy. Then we fit the model and we pass a training set. The validation data is nothing but the testing set, and the number of epochs chosen is 12. And after that we apply the summary function on our model, and then we get the whole summary of our model which we've created. And then we evaluate a model upon the training set, and we get a decent accuracy of 87, almost 88%. And then we evaluate the testing set onto a model. And then we get an accuracy of 52% because the data set is quite small and the number of epochs run are also less. Now the next step is to pre-process the test data. So the testing set label contains the labels of the testing set data of batch 0, and the testing set sample contains the feature vector of batch 0's images. And then we will use a predict method and we'll pass the testing set sample into a model, wherein batch size is 32 because it contains 32 images, and verbose equal to 0 because there's no need of showing steps. And then when we print the prediction variable, we get these 32 rows wherein it shows the predictions of the images belonging to which class. So as we know that the values are not quite recognizable, like which one is greater than which one, so we can apply logic and then we can iterate through this 32 images and rows and see that if array of 0 is greater than array of 1 and array of 0 is greater than array of 2, then you can quite clearly see that it belongs to the first class, which is the default class. And similarly, if array of 1 is greater than array of 0 and array of 1 is greater than array of 2, it belongs to the second class, which is the fire class, and so on. Now this is appended into a list. Now when we create a confusion matrix, it does not take a list into consideration, but it takes an np.nd array. So before creating a confusion matrix, we have to typecast the list into an np.nd array, which we have done over here. And then confusion matrix is basically used to describe the performance matrix of classification models on test data for which the true values are known. So from sklearn.metrics we have imported confusion matrix, and then we will pass the testing set label, which are the true values of those 32 images present into the batch 0, and the rounded predictions which we have got from our model. And then we will apply the argmax function because it returns the index of the max value out of those three classes, and x is equal to 1 because it considers into the same row. If x is equal to 0 was there, then it would have considered the column. And this plot confusion matrix is the standard confusion matrix plotting function present on the sklearn website. So it basically takes the CM object and the three classes which are present, and CMap is nothing but the color map, so we've chosen the blue color map to plot the confusion matrix, and we've kept the normalize variable to false. And then over here it is just plotting the confusion matrix, and then over here thresh is nothing but the max value divided by 2. So basically it iterates through all the values and checks that if the value present in that square is greater than the thresh, then it gives a darker color for that particular square, and if it's less, then it gives a comparatively lesser dark color like. And then we're just plotting the confusion matrix, as you can see here. So the addition of all the values in this matrix adds up to 32 because there are 32 images present in the batch 0. So along the diagonal are the values which are correctly predicted, and over here this one value means that the true label is default, but our model predicted it as fire, and so on and so forth. And then we'll go on to the predictions. So we are just importing the important libraries required for us to make the predictions. So over here we are using OpenCV in order to print the image onto the Jupyter notebook, and then in order to predict whether this which class does this image belong, so we are loading the image from the drive where the target size is 64,64 because the image can be of varied size, but we have to convert it into 64,64. And then we are using the image_2_ array to rescale the values from 0 to 255 to between 0, 1, and then we are expanding the array using expand, dims, and then we are just passing it into the predict function to predict the test image. So the result is if result of 0 is equal to 1, then it means it belongs to the default class. If the result of 0 of 1 is equal to 1, then it belongs to the fire class, and if the result of 0 of 2 equals 1, then it belongs to the smoke class. And over here we can clearly see that there is no fire, no smoke, hence it belongs to the default class. And similarly over here it belongs to the fire class as it has correctly predicted. And similarly over here we can see there is smoke out there, hence it belongs to the smoke class. And yeah, that's it. And over here we are just basically saving the model so that in future if you want to run the steps again, we don't need to create the model again and run all the epochs. We can directly use the model. So this is a very simple and an easier way in order to save the model using the save function. And there is a load model function in order to load the model, wherein we can directly then check the summary. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.